Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I received a comment about empirical formula and I received a question about empirical formula. Let's to discuss this question with you. The question said an oxide of sulfur, an oxide of sulfur is 40% sulfur and 60% of oxygen. 30% of oxygen. An oxide of sulfur is 40% sulfur and 60% of oxygen. Okay, what is the empirical formula? What is the empirical formula? Number one, I will follow the steps I said before. Elements I have, step number one, write the elements, sulfur and oxygen, S and O. Number two, masses that combine. I said you will bring the mass from the question. Mass of sulfur here is 40. Oxygen is 60% of oxygen. So below oxygen, I will write 60. Step number three, I will write AR for sulfur. AR for sulfur is 32. How do you know? From where I know AR for sulfur 32? Because in the periodic table you will find, look here, S 1632. 32 is the AR of sulfur, right here 32. Regarding oxygen, I will find in the periodic table 816. Oxygen 816. 16 is the AR of oxygen, so I will write 16 here below oxygen. But step number one, write the element, symbol of element, S and O, mass of elements you have, and you will bring the mass from the question. Sulfur is 40, oxygen is 60. AR of sulfur 32, AR of oxygen 60. Step number four, I will write the moles. You will calculate the moles. Moles of sulfur divide mass over AR. Moles of sulfur 40 divided by 32. Moles of oxygen 60 divided by 60. So I will use my calculator to find the result. I will write here 40 divided by 32 equal 1.25. Here, number four, a ratio. Sulfur 1.25. For oxygen, 60 divided by 16 equal 3.75. So here I have a ratio 1.25 for sulfur, 3.75 for oxygen. According to the steps, you may write the empirical formula is S 1.25 or 3.75. يعني to write S 1.25 or 3.75. I said before there is no decimals in the empirical formula. There is no decimals in the empirical formula. So this formula is incorrect. Don't write like this way. So what you will do, you're supposed to convert decimals number to the whole number. What you should do, divide by the lowest number. What is the lowest number here? 1.25 or 3.75? This is the lowest number. So I will divide 1.25 over 1.25 equal 1, and 3.75 over 1.25, just to use my calculator. So I will write 3.75 divided by 1.25, so equal 3. Now I have whole numbers. So finally I will write empirical formula, EF, empirical formula, is S alone. Why S? Because finally the ratio of S is 1. S alone, that's mean is 1. One atom of oxygen, one atom of sulfur. SO what? SO3, and this is the empirical formula of this oxide. You see it here, an oxide of sulfur is 40% sulfur and 60% of oxygen. What is the empirical formula? The empirical formula is SO3. What is the name of this? Sulfur trioxide. Sulfur trioxide. Why sulfur? Because I have sulfur here, S. Why tri? Because 3 atoms of oxygen combined with 1 atom of sulfur. So this is the empirical formula, and I remember you about the steps you're supposed to follow to write correct empirical formula. Number 1, write the element, the symbols you have. Number 2, write the mass of these elements. It exists in the question. Step number 3, write AR for these elements. You will find it in the periodic table. After that, calculate the moles. How can you calculate the moles? Divide the mass over AR. Mass over AR. Finally, find the ratio. If you have whole number direct, okay. If you have decimals, make division by the lowest number. Okay, and this is the empirical formula. And SO3 is the empirical formula of the question we have here. Thank you.